Meantime, the Africa CEO Forum 2018, more than 1,500 African and other delegates from around the world, top Nigerian business leaders, including the Zenith Bank founder, Jim Ovie, and billionaire businesswoman Florence Alakija, and others are heading to Abidjan this weekend for a key gathering of this annual event. This to discuss key issues around the business, finance, markets, investments across the African continent in Abidjan, the Ivorian capital. We'll be there on the ground to cover this event with a session focused on Nigeria's economic strategies out of the 2016 recession and the road ahead for Africa's largest economy. Let's look at the markets yesterday. Of course, let's just tell you, if you're in the markets, you know right now that the global stock market is bleeding across all fronts as U.S. President Donald Trump yesterday slammed about $50 billion fresh tariffs on its main rival, China, on the economic front. That is the world's second largest economy. So it's now head-to-head between Washington and Beijing. But of course, that's just coming through overnight. Then we had the Nigerian stock market found its footing, got its bearing back. After about 8 negative sessions, we had the first green session on Thursday as we begin to count down the final few trading days of the month of March. Later part of next week will be the Easter holiday. So next week is already likely being shaved a little bit by at least one session. The all-share index came back by 0.3%. The equity capitalization came back to 15 trillion by just a few margin. We added about 1.153 billion naira at yesterday's session, a little bit higher than we've lost significantly, close to 700 billion over the last 6 to 8 sessions. Those are the primary data. In terms of volume, that's what you see, 542.34 million ordinary shares. That's a little bit higher, 10.92% higher than Wednesday's transactions. In Naira value, that's 7.34%. That's higher, 30.2% than Wednesday figure. And the total deals, 5,039. Now look at the 5 main sectors, and that's what you find. Everyone got their green shirts back. The insurance added 1.61%, led in the main by the bellwether in that sector. AXA Mansard added about a decent number trying to find AXA Mansard. The AXA Mansard was up by 2% yesterday. Yeah, I got that, yes. And that's a 2%, lifting that sector significantly to a very good close, better than the rest of the other 4 subsectors. Of course, we had about 25 subsectors on the market, but those are the 5 major that we track on a daily basis. Consumer goods was 0.39% in the green because a few of the listed stocks there added some gains. But let's move to banking, where the Access Bank numbers failed to meet estimates, and that Tier 1 bank reported not such a stellar performance for full year 2017. The numbers, of course, you may have seen on the newswire, not so pretty for Access Bank, where its net profit was down by 13.23% to 61.99 billion naira. The bank reported a decline in net traded income, 178.38% in return on derivative instruments, and dropping to a loss of almost 40 billion naira. In terms of capital adequacy ratio, we're still above the minimum regulatory requirement, but that dropped 21.10% last year. Not a very decent year, as it were, a very turbulent year for Access Bank there on the numbers. Loan impairment provision by Access Bank was a whopping 779.43%, and that's quite significant, if you ask. So the banking sector, of course, moved up by about 0.5% because GT Bank added some weight to that. Then you have the industrial goods, where Lafarge added about 1% to the subsector, finishing off 0.46% for the sector. Oil and gas, thanks to Double One PLC, about 0.57%. So that just takes us all the way straight to the oil and gas stocks. Only 2 major trading action we're looking at. The rest were largely lackluster. Gray shoots But we had Double One PLC in the green. So take that away, folks. Let's move on. Look at Double One PLC and, of course, Japol. Cornell was 33.45 unchanged. Fort Oil 44 unchanged. Double One added 4.37%. Less than 100,000 units. MRS was unchanged. Oando was unchanged. The volume on Oando was less than about half a million units. Seplat unchanged at 722. Total 243.7. Eternal Oil 5.9. Global Spec 6.35. Then we got Japol making a comeback after a very about a week of profit taking. Japol made a U-turn yesterday and traded about 11.893 million shares. Sorry about that, folks. That's a typo there. 11.893 million shares of Japol were traded yesterday on the market. The stock was up 8.62% back to at 63 kobo per share on the counter. Okay, we're going to raise on very quickly to the NSE over the counter. The market, small market, remained in the green. A very decent week so far as we see the final day today, 671.55 reading on the US side. And the market cap, 454.46. And a very, a very small tick transaction on Thursday. But let's finish off with the bond market, shall we? The Debt Management Office yesterday conducted the Naira bond auction, and that was considered a very decent outcome, according to a report today by FBN Quest. You can see the FGN bonds there yesterday. That's via the FMDQ OTC market trading platform. But if you look at the bond report, the debt office offered about 80 billion. The total bid was a whopping 143 billion naira. The total raising was 64 billion naira. That's about 210 million US dollars. The total debt raised so far in the first quarter of this year was 254 billion naira, ending the quarter on what is called a very decent note. Let's come back and listen to billionaire investor, philanthropist, and Microsoft founder Bill Gates picking holes in Nigeria's ERGP.